everyone, I am Raki JS, Assistant Professor, Department of English. Today, I'll be dealing with the topic the French Revolution. The French Revolution is widely recognized as one of the most influential events in the history of the world. The revolution, which began in 1789, brought about tremendous changes in the political, cultural, social, and literary arenas. People everywhere were inspired with democratic ideals. The power of the king and the aristocrats came crumbling down. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity, upheld by the revolutionaries, affected the history not merely of France and Europe but of the whole world. Now let's analyze the causes of the revolution. There were several causes for the French Revolution: socio-economic, political, and intellectual. The most important and the vital cause of the revolution was the social cause. There was much inequality in the French society. The society was divided into three orders or estates. The clergy constituted the first estate, the nobility the second. The rest of the population, which is more than 95%, constituted the third estate. The first two estates, that is the clergy and the nobility, enjoyed plenty of privileges. They were exempted from paying taxes. But the third estate suffered untold misery and poverty. They were victims of social inequality. They were deprived of all rights. They had to pay taxes to the state, the church, and the nobles. The bourgeois or the middle class were also excluded from enjoying any privileges. They were doctors, advocates, professors, teachers, bankers, farmers, etc. This naturally led to frustration and discontent. Thus, the old order, with its ideologies and meaningless social institutions, paved the way for a social revolution of far-reaching consequences. Another major cause of the revolution was the rottenness of the French administrative system. At the eve of French Revolution, Louis XVI was the ruler. He believed in the divine right theory. Divine right theory, the belief that kings were appointed by God and were answerable to none but God. Louis XVI acted in an arbitrary manner. His court was known for its extravagance and pomp. There was much anarchy in the administrative system. There was no room for common people in administration. The people had no share in the government, and the States General, that is a sort of a parliament, had not met since 1614. So the people had not get an opportunity to ventilate their grievances in a peaceful way. Marie Antoinette, the queen of Louis XVI, was unpopular and arrogant. She did not understand the temperament of the people, and this irritated the already frustrated people further. There was confusion in every department of administration. There was an urgent need for reform, but the king was incapable of that. The economic factors and the financial conditions of the country also contributed to the outbreak of revolution. The economic condition of France became poor due to the foreign wars of Louis XIV, the 7-year wars of Louis XV, and other expensive wars. During the period of Louis XVI, the royal treasury became empty. The national debt increased beyond limit. The situation became more complex by France's involvement in the American War of Independence and the faulty system of taxation. The privileged classes were free from paying taxes, while the peasantry had to pay 80% of their income in taxes. French writers like Voltaire and Rousseau had a great influence on the middle class. Voltaire, through his prose, history, and drama, exposed the shortcomings of the French society. Rousseau established the fact that people had every right to question the ruler if he failed in his duty towards them. The American War of Independence also gave an example for the French people to struggle for freedom. The way in which the Americans rose against the unfair taxation of British government and their ultimate victory was a great inspiration for the French. All these factors created a growing dissent and reached a breaking point in 1789. In 1789, the Parisian mob attacked the state prison, the Bastille, and thus began the revolution. The old order was overthrown. The French drew up a declaration called the Declaration of the Rights of Man. The concept of absolute monarchy was abolished. Louis XVI was not happy about these developments, sought foreign help. The revolutionaries retaliated by executing thousands of royalist priests and nobles. It is known as September Massacre in history. From 1793 to 1794, there was a reign of terror. Louis XVI was beheaded. More than 1 million people were cruelly butchered. After the execution of Louis XVI, a group of Jacobins led by Maximilien Robespierre gained control over the French government. Jacobins were extreme revolutionaries and were entirely hostile to aristocratic privileges and to all feudal forms of government. The reign of terror came to an end with the execution of Maximilien Robespierre in 1794. After the reign of terror, another Jacobin, Napoleon Bonaparte, came into prominence. In 1795, he was made a major general. After the reign of terror, Directory came in power. Directory was the governing 5-member committee in the French Republic. In 1799, Napoleon Bonaparte dissolved the Directory and he announced Consulate of 3 members to run administration of France, in which he was the first member. Thus, Napoleon Bonaparte came in power after the reign of terror. The revolution, which lasted roughly 10 years, thus came to an end in 1799 with the fall and abolition of French monarchy and Napoleon Bonaparte's dictatorship.